Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this first day of January 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are reading from the 7th canto, The Science of God, 4th chapter, Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe, text number 40. nadati, kvachid, utkanto, vilajjo, nrityati, kvachit, tad, bhavana, yuktas, tanmayo, anuchakara, ha, nadati kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha, nadati kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha, nadati kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha, nadati kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha, kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha, nadati kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha, nadati kvachidutkanto, vilajjo nrityati kvachit, tad bhavana yuktas, tanmayo nichakaraha. Anyone online? They are online, but they're all sleeping. Nadati exclaims loudly, addressing the Lord, O Krishna, kvachit, sometimes, utkantaha, being anxious, vilajjaha, without shame, nrityati, he dances, kvachit, sometimes, kvachit, sometimes, tat bhavana, with thoughts of Krishna, yuktaha, being absorbed, tatmayaha, thinking as if he had become Krishna, anuchakara, imitated, ha, indeed. Translation. So this is still describing the qualities of Prahlāda Maharaj. Sometimes, upon seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prahlāda Maharaj would loudly call in full anxiety. He sometimes lost his shyness in jubilation and began dancing in ecstasy. And sometimes, being fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, he felt oneness and imitated the pastimes of the Lord. Purport. Prahlāda Maharaj sometimes felt that the Lord was far away from him and therefore called him loudly. When he saw that the Lord was before him, he was fully jubilant. Sometimes, thinking himself one with the Supreme, he imitated the Lord's pastimes, and in separation from the Lord, he would sometimes show symptoms of madness. These feelings of a devotee would not be appreciated by impersonalists. One must go further and further into spiritual understanding. The first realization is impersonal Brahman. But one must go still further to realize Paramatma and eventually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by the transcendental feelings of a devotee in the relationship of Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vātsalya, or Madhurya. Here the feelings of Prahlāda Maharaj were in the mellow of Vātsalya, filial love and affection. As a child cries when left by his mother, When Prahlāda Maharaj felt that the Lord was away from him, he began to cry. Nadati. Again, a devotee like Prahlāda sometimes sees that the Lord is coming from a long distance to pacify him, like a mother responding to a child, saying, "My dear child, do not cry, I am coming." When the devotee, without being ashamed due to his surroundings and circumstances, begins to dance, thinking, "Here is my Lord is coming." Thus the devotee in full ecstasy sometimes imitates the pastimes of the Lord, just as the cowherd boys used to imitate the behavior of the jungle animals. However, he does not actually become the Lord. Prahlāda Maharaj achieved the spiritual ecstasies described herein by his advancement in spiritual understanding. Om jnana timarandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So when I read this verse in purport, I was reminded of a verse in the 11th canto, which Lord Chaitanya quoted when he was, what shall I say, preaching to Prakashananda Saraswati and converting him and his thousands of disciples. Prakashananda Saraswati was the leader of the impersonalists in Benares, or Varanasi, when Lord Chaitanya went there after taking sannyas. And he was dancing and chanting and you know, with many devotees there. There were also many devotees, although it's the headquarters of the Mayavadis. And the Mayavadis were ridiculing him and blaspheming and saying, because Lord Chaitanya took his sannyasa initiation from a Mayavadi, right? Even though in other words, that was the sannyas that was available, and he took that. So he was counted among by the Mayavadis. Oh, he's one of us, but look, he's just dancing and chanting instead of studying the Vedanta Sutra like we're doing all day. So Chandrasekhar, and who was the other one who was with him? Who was in Benares taking care of Lord Chaitanya? Yes, the doctor. Anyway, no. Tapan Mishra. So they were getting, you know, they approached religious and, oh, these blasphemies are striking our hearts like a thunderbolt, you know. And so he felt that, and then a Brahmin invited all the Mayavadis, and he also invited Lord Chaitanya. Although Lord Chaitanya would normally never consort with them, but in order to relieve the anxiety of his devotees, he went there. And it's classic. It's in chapter 7 of the Adi Leela. And many of you may not know this, the history of the publication of the CC. Prabhupada wanted that chapter published separately as a book before all the others. Yeah. And so we did. I think it was in 73, 74. I was there in Brooklyn helping produce it slightly. And so that came out. It's also about the Panchatattva. And so it's the Lord in 5 features, I think was the title of it. But the bulk of it is Lord Chaitanya's converting all the Mayavadis, you know, his arguments, and eventually he explained the whole Vedanta Sutra to them. And they all became converted. And Prakashananda's thousands of disciples all became, you know, devotees. It was quite remarkable. So, Prabhupada, if you hear Prabhupada's lectures or you read his books, you'll see that he's criticizing the Mayavadis. It's a classic battle between the Bhaktas and the Mayavadis in India. It's historic. So, when Lord Chaitanya was speaking to Prakashananda Saraswati, he said, so Prakashananda, why don't you, study the Vedanta Sutra with us? You know, you're Nimai Pandit, we know you're so learned and everything. And so Lord Chaitanya, he humbly said, he had approached his spiritual master, he took Ishwara Puri, and this is what he said. Ishwara Puri said to him, you're unqualified to study the Vedanta Sutra. You should just chant the holy name, chant Hare Krishna. And so that's what I do. And when I chant, I feel all these ecstatic symptoms and the crying, and just like described here with Prahlāda. And so then Ishwara Puri, then he said that Ishwara Puri then recited a verse from the Bhagavatam, which Ishwara Puri told him was the most important verse in the Bhagavatam. And that's the verse I was reminded of. So I looked it up so I can give you an accurate translation here without fumbling it. And it is 11th Canto, Chapter 2, verse 40. This is a verse spoken by the 9 Yogendras, one of the 9 Yogendras, to Maharaj Nimi. So here's the verse. Evam bhataksva priyanama kirchat jata nurago to the chitta uchai hasatchatoro tidirauti gaya chunmadavan nrittati lokabaya. Some of you may not have heard that verse. Here's the translation. By chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is described in the verse about Prahlāda as entering into one of these mellows. And he probably describes it as Vātsalya Ras, which is very interesting, because normally we think of Vātsalya Ras as Mother Yashoda's love of Krishna. That's Vātsalya. It's based on the word Vatsa, which means calf, like a cow's affection for the calf. But Prabhupada said in the purport, if you recall, that's also the child's affection for the mother. The word filial affection, which sometimes Prabhupada used to mean the maternal or paternal ras, actually it means the child's love for the mother or the father. That's the filial affection. So Prabhupada uses that word and in the purport here, and he's describing Prahlāda's affection for the Lord, right? That's the whole of these ways of affection. So what happens? He gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly or cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances just like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. So that's exactly what Prahlāda was doing. So I'm going to go back to the purport that Prabhupada gave us here. Yeah, a little bit. So then the other thing that is remarkable here, that Prabhupada talks about, that he's so absorbed in thinking of Krishna that he starts acting out his pastimes, right? That should remind you of the gopis. The gopis are the supreme devotees, and when they were separated from Krishna, he suddenly left them in the rasa dance because they became a little proud, right? And then they were like mad women. Where are you? They started asking the trees, they started asking the earth, they started asking everything. Have you seen our Lord, you know? And they didn't get a response, so finally they just became so absorbed, they started acting out Krishna's pastimes. You know, one took the role of Putana, the other took the role of Krishna, sucked the breast, and like that. So it's remarkable. So Prahlāda is also on that level practically, because it describes that he's thinking he is Krishna, acting his pastime. So that's now if you read the purport to that verse in the 11th canto, this of course purport was not compiled by Srila Prabhupada, but by Vidyananda Maharaj, and it's just a quote from one acharya after another. In those early purports, he quotes Vishwanath Chakrabarti, what he says about it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's quite lengthy. But one thing I just wanted to mention in terms of the terminology, because Prabhupada often uses the word servitude as like the first rasa, right? We have servant, and then there's friend, and then there's parent and lover, and there's also shanta ras, people are just meditating on Krishna without activity. Servitude is, we're going to change the servitude. Servitude means one thing and one thing only, slavery. It means slavery, and that's not what the servitorship. He also used the word servitorship. In other words, the mood of a servant of the Lord, which is perfectly fine. All of the Vaikuntha planets, they're all in that mood toward Narayan. They understand that they're the eternal servants. It never becomes as intimate as even the friends. The friends are serving Krishna in a better way than the servants, because they're so intimate with Krishna that Krishna covers his identity as the Supreme Lord, and by Yogamaya, they think they're equal to Krishna. And they'll fight with Krishna. Of course, sometimes Krishna will lose on purpose, you know, and like that. So that's Sakya Ras. It's more even advanced than Dasya Ras, more intimate. And in each of the rasas, just to remind you, if you've never read this, each of the further rasas contains all of the elements of the previous ras. So it's not that the friends are not servants of Krishna. They're serving him in a better way even than those who simply adore him and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like that, and glorify him. In fact, there's a wonderful passage in that 4th chapter of the Adi Leela. It's really nice. The 4th chapter is a real essential chapter for us. And Krishna's Kaviraj is quoting Krishna. He's quoting Krishna saying this in the spiritual world. He says, when my mother chastises me, or the gopis chastise me, that steals my mind away from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. Remember that? Something like that. When my friends say, what kind of big man are you? And they climb on my back, when I'm when I'm offering obeisance to something. So this is what Krishna wants. One of the things to always remember, that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And he always wants to experience newer and newer enjoyments and deeper enjoyments. And so there's this in the 4th chapter of Adi Leela, where Krishna's Kaviraj reveals what Lord Krishna was thinking before he came down as Lord Chaitanya. And there's a verse at the beginning, the Mangalacharan, Shri Radhaya Pandiya Mahima Kiddusho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yenan Buddhamandudima Kiddusho Mahmadiya Saukyam Chasya Mananabhavata Kiddusham Veti Lobat Tadbhavaja Samajani Sachi Garbasindo Harindu. So this is actually the real internal reason for Krishna appearing as Lord Chaitanya. There's 2 reasons. There's 2 basic reasons. One was to spread the Sankirtan movement out of an infinite mercy for all the conditioned souls. That's why we're here, because Lord Chaitanya showed that mercy. But he also had his own reason. Krishna had his own reason, not out of mercy for us, but because he wanted to experience Radharani. There's 3 reasons here mentioned in the verse. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima, the glory of Srimati Radharani's love for him, what she's experiencing by loving him. He was in the spiritual world, he's in Golokadapa, he cannot experience that, because he's in the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's in the position of God. He wanted to experience his own inimitable qualities, all of these 64 qualities we read about, there's so many. Through the lens of her love. Radharani can experience Krishna's qualities more deeply and more meaningfully than anyone else, because her intensity of her love is the greatest, the purity of it. She personified Ladani Shakti. That's also in the Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritiya. Radha is a transformation of love of Krishna, and his name is Ladani Shakti. So anyway, that's the second reason. He wants to experience his own amazing qualities from her point of view, rather than just, he's looking at a mirror. He's looking, not a mirror, but a very polished pillar or something like that. He's in Dwarka in one of the, in one of his palaces, and he's seeing himself, and he's stunned by his own beauty. He said, but I can't experience it fully, so I want to become in the mood of Radharani so that I can experience my own qualities fully and deeply. And he wanted to experience her bliss, Saukyam Chasa Mananabhavata Kiddusam Veta, that she experiences through that love, the ananda that she's experiencing by loving him and being loved by him. So those are the 3 internal reasons Lord Chaitanya came, and that's the basis of the 4th chapter of that Adi Leela. And so these, but in the 7th chapter, he's explaining to Prakashananda Sarva. He quotes this verse, and it describes someone in a very advanced state. Now, in the acharyas, when they explain this verse, and this is in the purport, they warn us. Because especially in the modern age, after Lord Chaitanya came in 1486, and then he had all his pastimes, then we had our acharyas, but then there were all of these other upasampradayas that grew up, taking it easy. Well, you know what sahajiya actually means? Sahajiya means that, it's easy. It's easy. You don't have to worry about all these restrictions, just read about the gopis, and it easily goes off into illicit activities. They're imitating Krishna, imitating. It's just the opposite of bhakti. But that became very prominent in Bengal. And so that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for a long time, he couldn't even find the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It had been obscured by all of these other writings and all of this other stuff that was going on. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is the one who really resurrected pure Chaitanya Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And of course his son carried it on, and and Srila Prabhupada's carrying it on. But there's always that danger as you because this is part of it. When you read the 10th canto, you're going to come upon the rasa dance. When you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you're going to come upon Antya Lila and chapter 8 of Madhya Lila, and talking about these most intimate things. And what was the book that Lord Chaitanya was reading most? The Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda. Gita Govinda it's not for novices. So there's always that danger that there'll be a faction that just wants to take a shortcut. When you read the first canto, there's more than one instance in there where Prabhupada is railing against the Bhagavat Saptaha. Bhagavat Saptaha means a 7-day festival of hearing the Bhagavatam from, quote, a realized soul, But these are like professional reciters. They're just making their livelihood by reading the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada said, no. Don't, this is what, yes, Parikshit Maharaj had the first Bhagavat Saptaha. But that was 7 days without eating or sleeping. If you can do that, then you can just listen 7 days. But this is like, and what do they read? They read the rasa dance. They go to the rasa dance. They skip over all the other chapters, And Prabhupada says, at the beginning of the Bhagavad first canto, he mentions that. He talks about how, yes, the highest rasa is this Kanjura rasa. But in order to understand it, you have to read all the way up the previous canto so you fully understand this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not for me to imitate, it's for me to simply worship. And at the beginning, worship at a distance. Even Radha Krishna deities, Prabhupada said, when we join the movement and novices, we should be worshiping in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. Awe and reverence and highest respect, rather than, what is Radha saying to Krishna? How are they meeting off in the bushes? No. But Prahlāda, he came out of the womb. He was already very advanced, and he was completely filled with thoughts of Krishna, and he is the emblem, the acharya for remembrance, for meditation. And because of that constant meditation and complete surrender to Krishna, he was completely protected. When his father went crazy and decided to kill him, he didn't even want to kill him himself. So okay, take him off and kill him. So his henchmen came. You can imagine these huge, frightening guys, with not an ounce of empathy, and just taking this delicate little boy, throwing him into the pot of boiling oil. Oh, is he well done yet? He's meditating. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't even feeling it. That's the miracle, the protection he had. Throwing off a cliff, the weapons, those were the first things. The poison, the snakes, everything they had didn't hurt him at all. That was scary for his father. Then his father was terrified, because that's tremendous power, that defensive power, So then he said, there's different stages of his teaching. He speaks this verse, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, the 9 processes of devotional service. He's a Mahajan. Prahlāda is a Mahajan, one of the Mahajans. So he's speaking fearlessly to his father, who doesn't want to hear about devotional service, but he's outlining the 9 processes of devotional service. And that is the longest purport in the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada quotes essentially from Bhaktisiddhanta's explanation of each one of those, if you want to look it up. It's very thorough. So that's going to come in the 7th canto. That's called, the 7th canto has, this glories of Prahlāda, and then, his first encounter with his father, when his father asked him, what did you learn today? What's the best thing? And he fearlessly says, he basically said, everything you're doing is wrong, and you're simply in a deep well of illusion. So take shelter of Hari and go to Vrindavan and take shelter. He's telling his father that. So his father, at that point, he wasn't angry at him. He thought he blamed the teachers. But the teachers said, no, we didn't tell him. We didn't teach him this. And when the teachers got him alone, they said, where did you learn it? Where did you learn it? So he wouldn't tell him. Anyway, it goes on like that. And finally, the story that Prahlāda, the final confrontation, Hiranyakashipu was ready to kill his son personally. Where do you get your strength from? The same place you do, Father, from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Where is your God? I don't see him, you know? He's everywhere, Father. Really? Really? Is he in this pillar? Yes, Father. Boom, he hits it with his fist. Out comes Nrsingadev. He was kind of shocked. We get shocked when the curtains open for the first time. You're seeing that deity of Nrsingadev in Mayapur. He's also pretty heavy in New Vrindavan. They got a big one, but the Mayapur deity is like awe-inspiring. But you can imagine, you know, if you're an enemy of the devotees and Nrsingadev actually appears to you, that's scary. So Hiranyakashipu, you know, was doing his little fight, and Nrsingadev was basically just toying with him, just playing with him, you know, and then rip him apart. So that's all coming, and it's very dramatic. And this is just hearing about Prahlāda's qualities is very enlivening and enlightening, because all of this is really the qualities of someone who's very advanced in devotional service. The devotional service we're practicing. We have the line to do that, whether we're going to do it or not, you know, because it takes absolute, complete surrender and complete reliance on Krishna. He personifies. If you recall the six elements of Sharanagati, of surrender, first is anukulyasa sankalpa pratikulyasa varjanam, which it encompasses so much. Acceptance of everything favorable. Okay, there's so many things. Get up early, take a shower, you know, come to Mangalarti, chant Hare Krishna, you know, 16, there's so many things. Do this, do this, do this. Then, of course, there's pratikulyasa varjanam, giving up things that are impediments, headed by, of course, the four regulative principles, or the four things that we have to give up to follow the four regulative principles. And so those are the first two, and that's a big challenge for us Kali Yugites. But that's what it takes if you want to, you know. Okay, so then it goes, Rakshishyatiti Vishvaso Goptvidve Vadanantata. Rakshishyatiti Vishvaso, Prahlāda personifies that. That means having full confidence that Krishna will protect in every circumstance. Prahlāda is not doing anything to defend himself. He's not even putting up his hands. He's just sitting there meditating. He's completely relying on whatever you want, Krishna. Rakshishyatiti Vishwas. And he was completely protected. And he wasn't the only one. You know, Queen Kunti, I'd like to hear lectures of Prabhupada. I like to hear Queen Kunti's prayers. You know, Prabhupada loved those prayers. There's the one I hear now, Prabhupada says, you should get all these verses by heart. He calls them mantras. He doesn't call them these mantras. These verses are mantras. Get them all by heart. You know, this way you can make advancement. He's encouraging us. But she's also, you know, they were also protected, the Pandavas. They were so dear to Krishna. Whenever they were in trouble, Krishna would appear famously to save Draupadi from being disrobed. But you know, when the Pandavas, they were going to go to this house of lac and live there, they didn't know about it. Vidura was sent. You know, Krishna was behind all that to warn them. No, this is great danger. They're going to burn it down. So they accepted anyway. But Prabhupada said they dug a subway, a tunnel. You know, they were able to get out. So in every instance, Krishna is always there to protect them. And he's also there to protect us, provided we're completely relying on him for protection. That's the problem. We hedge our bets, you know. So and Goptvidve and confident Krishna will maintain, because there's yoga and shema. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says yoga kshema vahamyaham, ananyas chintayanam yejanapatesham nitvayaktanam yoga kshema vahamyaham. One who thinks only of me, ananyas chintayantamam yejanapayapa, and worship me, I preserve what they have and I provide what they need. This is yoga and shema. This is what we need to live in this material world. Yoga in this case doesn't mean anything about meditating or bhakti yoga even. It just means those things that you need to connect with in order to survive. Food, air, water, you know, a house, you know, necessities. Krishna will provide. And kshema is your welfare, your security. That's also necessary. You may have all the necessities, but there's this big threat. And you got to leave your house and you freak out, you know, you're not really provided for. So that yoga and kshema is reflected in these 6 elements. Confident Krishna will maintain, and confident Krishna will protect. And to always remain meek and humble and have no interest separate from Krishna. This is Sharanagati. You can see the standard. So Prahlāda is at that level completely. And he's personifying that Rakshashyatiti Vishvaso. And the Pandavas also, Draupadi being disrobed, but she's trying to hold her sari, right? But then she's completely surrendered, and she said, well, I can't stop the Dukshasana and Karna. They're powerful, Kshatriyas. They're going to rip off my clothes. I can't do anything. But Krishna can save me. If you desire, Krishna, save me. And we know the result. Unlimited sari. They couldn't. So that's all being taught. Prahlāda is teaching that in spades. And in between, there's a whole chapter what he taught his friends. He's teaching his friends Krishna consciousness. It's all full of instruction. So it's all being set up here by this tremendous contrast between Prahlāda and his father. His father, Hiranyakashipu. Okay, who can tell me what that, besides Ramapati, you were born knowing it. What is Hiranyakashipu? Why is that a perfect name for this demon? And what else? Gold. So the Hiranya is the gold, and Kashipu, Prabhupada said on the day, correct? Kashipu is the soft bedding and the bed companion. That's why it's soft bedding. So material comfort and the grossest kind of sense pleasure, facilitated by unlimited wealth, which you don't care how you get it, steal it from everybody, murder people, get the money. That's Hiranyakashipu, and he conquered the whole universe, which is incredible. So he has all this facility for enjoyment, but what's stopping him from enjoying? His son, his beloved son, is a devotee. How did that happen? It's like if in a family of devotees, if one of the sons becomes a demon, that's like a big disappointment. Anyway, so Prahlāda is annoying his father, aggravating his father, and finally his father succumbs to Nrsimhadev, Lord Nrsimhadev. That's the culmination of all of this. But here we're just learning of Prahlāda's wonderful character. Because of his constant remembrance and absorption in Krishna, he's feeling all of these emotions of, where are you? Calling out and separation. That's Vipalamba. That's the highest meditation. And then being absorbed, he's imitating the activities, and he's feeling this Vātsalya ras. He mentioned this Vātsalya ras can go both ways. This sense of a child's love for the mother or for the Lord. So all of that is being experienced, and that's within us also. If and when we get pure enough, our original rasa will be manifest more and more to us. And we'll be able, because we have to remember, what's the ultimate goal of what we're doing? Is it liberation? Is it comfort? Material? No. What would you say? What's the ultimate goal? I'm sorry? Prema. Love for Krishna. There's a little phrase, you can remember, it's easy to remember. Prema, pum artha, mahan. Prema is pure love for Krishna. Pum is short for pungsa, means human being. Artha means goal. Mahan means great. The great goal of every human being is prema. Now prema includes liberation. Devotees don't worry about liberation. But prema means this feeling. The ultimate goal of what we're doing is this feeling, eternal feeling of ecstasy, ecstatic love for Krishna, which has so many varieties. Because in that mood of love, there's, you just read the Krishna book and you see what Krishna's doing with his friends in Goloka Vrindavan. He's going out, they're playing, and he's playing the flute. The cows are there. They're also experiencing the rasa. So that's really the currency in the spiritual world. These loving exchanges. That's what rasa means. It's not just one person feeling something, but it's an exchange of love between two or more sometimes. But between Krishna and his devotees of all varieties, of different intimacies. So that's hinted at here. That's mentioned here in this particular verse. The result of that, these symptoms of dancing and ecstasy and not being able to control yourself. It's a kind of a madness. But it's a good madness. It's something we want to revere and experience. All right. Any discussion on these points? Okay, I'm going to read another verse. Wow, this is great. Kvachid utpulikas tushnim aste sangsparsha nivritaha aspanda panayananda salila militekshana. Sometimes, feeling the touch of the Lord's lotus hands, Prahlāda became spiritually jubilant and remained silent, his hair standing on end and tears gliding down from his half-closed eyes because of his love for the Lord. Purport. When a devotee feels separation from the Lord, he becomes eager to see where the Lord is, and sometimes when he feels pangs of separation, tears flow incessantly from his half-closed eyes. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka, Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravashahitam. The words chakshusha pravashahitam refer to tears falling incessantly from the devotee's eyes. These symptoms, which appear in pure devotional ecstasy, were visible in the body of Prahlāda Maharaj. So this crying, wasn't it Gorga Vinamar said he had opened a crying factory or school? A school for crying. Yeah, to cry. Yeah, so it's important to know these things so that we can pray for that. We can pray for that purity so that we'll also feel these things and we'll also experience these. There's so many in the Namashtaka. I like to point this out because that's one thing that we're familiar with, chanting Hare Krishna 16 rounds. But we know there's so many levels of this chanting. You read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Lord Chaitanya and his associates would chant, and name would just send them over the rainbow, and see so many experiences. So one can pray for more and more taste from the holy name. Like there's this one verse in the Namashtaka. There's several verses in the Namashtaka that pray for that. One is a list of names, sample names, and they go, Agadamana Yashoda Nandano Nandasunu Kamananayana Gopi Chandra Vrindavanendra Pranata Karuna Krishna Vityaneka Swarupe Tvai Mamanata Uchaya Vardadham Namadeha. Oh, holy name. Namadeha is a way of addressing the holy name. You have many forms, such as, like we sing this song, Yashamati Nandan. It's just names. But they all remind you of the qualities and pastimes of Krishna. All the names, that's what the names are. So Agadamana means the killer of Agasura. Yashoda Nandana Nandasuno, son of Yashoda Nanda. Kamalanayana, you of the lotus eyes. Gopi Chandra, you're like a moon, causing the gopis' eyes to blossom wide, like blue kumada blossoms, Gopi Chandra. Vrindavanendra, the Lord of Vrindavana. Pranata Karuna, this is such a nice name. It means you who are so merciful to the surrendered souls. Pranata Karuna. And of course, Krishna. Aneka, so you have unlimited name. Aneka Swarupi. Tvai Mama Rataduchai Vardatam Namadeya. Oh, holy name. The holy name is person, not different from Krishna. Oh, holy name, please increase and nourish my appreciation for you, my taste for you more and more, moment by moment. It's a prayer. And then the last verse of this Namashtaka, in which there's the name, many of you know this devotee, Madhuripura, who was Prahlāda Priya's son. He's a very nice kirtan leader, and Vaisheshika Prabhu, his guru, gave him this name, which is right out of this verse. You'll recognize it. Narada vino jivana sadormi niryasa Madhuripura tvam Krishna nama kamam spadame rasane rasena sada. It says, oh holy name, Narada vino jivana, you are the inspiration for the playing of the vina of Narada. Sudha urmi, waves of nectar. Sudami niryasa Madhuripura, you're a flood of sweetness, being a thick flood of the sweetest nectar. The river of nectar. What an appreciation. Rupa Goswami. Niryasa Madhuripura, Tvam Krishna, Narada vino jivana sudhormi, Sudha urmi. Urmi is waves and Sudha is nectar. Niryasa Madhuripura, the sweetest, thickest nectar. Tvam Krishna nama, if you please. This word kamam with an M at the end. It's very important to put that M at the end. Means if you please, if you like, please do this. Madhuripura. Tvam Krishna nama, or Krishna nama. Kamam Spudame rasane rasena sada. Please always appear with on my tongue with great relish. Let me always have a very great taste to chant you, and chant you as much as possible. Because this is the thing. If you want to taste something material, it may taste wonderful, some prasadam or something, but there's a limit how much you can taste it. You'll get sick if you take too much. But there's no limit on tasting the holy name. Tunde Tandavanida Ting Tunde Tundabali Labdeye. Another verse by Rupa Goswami. When Lord Chaitanya heard this verse, he went into ecstasy and started dancing. Haridas Thakur too, in Puri. Let me have millions of ears, millions of tongues. When I chant the holy name, it seems to dance within the mouth, and the taste is so great, I want to have many millions of tongues. I want to have millions of tongues. Karna Krodha Kadambani. I want to have millions of ears to drink in the name. And when it enters into the courtyard of the heart, all my senses become inert and my mind becomes completely fixed on the holy name. So this description of the great acharyas experiencing the holy name. So that sweetness is there. It's there in the holy name. We're still covered by the crud of all these millions of births that we've had. But what's the purification process? Sankirtan, right? Chaitodapana margina. So that's the natural state of the living entity. To always be experiencing these blissful mellows and by just chanting Hare Krishna, appreciating Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes. That's where we're aiming for this. And then naturally what happens when if you start to experience even some of that, is that you want to say, oh, these poor people, they're trying so hard. Like last night, we're out right in the middle of these thousands of people, and they're there to enjoy. What to enjoy? Should we go to this bar? Should we do this? Should we just hang out? A million different things. But then they see the devotees, and they don't know what's going on. I think mostly it's the drumming. Okay, so they're attracted by the drumming, but they're going to hear the holy name. I mean, let's face it, we didn't really plan very well. We should have a nice sign, we should have cards that explain the holy name, and we should stop every now and then and try to get people to chant. But I didn't want to do anything without authorization, so but that's, they benefited tremendously by just hearing the holy name and dancing. But that is the process. The chanting of the holy name is especially congregational chanting. That's where the quickest purification can take place. The whole thing is purification. All of these experiences, like Prahlāda is having, this is all within us. We're just still living in our, partially in our false identity and Mayak thing. But if we're really serious and we take the process seriously, then we can also come to the point of experiencing this. And it's also very encouraging. I get encouraged to think, okay, because I've lived my whole life already. And it doesn't take a long time. When you get to the end of it, it's what happened? It says, okay, but I've got at least a few assets in devotional life, and so I'll continue on the path. Maybe in a different body. I want to try to go back to Godhead. I should become very serious in the remaining time. I should do that. But there's that backstop. It says, okay, it's difficult. But even if I don't succeed, I'll start next birth, and I'll from where I left off. So there's a path back, and the few births, when it comes to all the millions of births we've had already, it's in sight. It's possible. So, because, even if we come back, you don't have to come back to this earth. I mean, I don't have much hope for the way this earth is going. But there's millions of universes. There's plenty of planets like this, Krishna can put you anywhere to continue, isn't it? Maybe it'll be the planet Earth, but it'll be in Dwapara Yuga, or be in, Anyway, Krishna consciousness is the only thing that's really positive in this world now is Krishna consciousness. Everything else is just, oh my God, whether it's the climate or it's the politics or it's the geophysical or it's the wars going on, it's just we're like a burning fire here, burning forest fire. But we got the holy name and we got the process, we should take full shelter of it. Because this is my favorite verse from the
what is it? The Kevalashtaka. I don't know if that rings a bell. There's 8 verses about the holy name. What's happening there, Chris? You're fully absorbed in something. If it's something else, then you can, please take it outside. You're okay? You're hearing? All right, because it's distracting. So this is, I'll give you the whole, we have time, it's only 8:38. So this is a poem, many of you heard it, some of you not be so familiar. It's called the Kevalashtaka. Why is it called Kevalashtaka? Because every verse ends with this line from the famous verse, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. So that Hare Nama Eva Kevalam line is the refrain line of these verses. So the first one goes like this. Madaram madarebhyopi mangalebhyopi mangalam pavanam pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. That means that the holy name of the Lord is all that there is. That's everything. It's Krishna. Krishna is everything, right? So anyway, so that one means this, and I'll give you all 8 of them because it's all nectar. Of sweet things, it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune, it's the perfect paradigm. Of things that purify, it purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. And this brings up, I should remind myself and others, there is a Kirtan festival tonight, right here. Don't be late, 5:30, right? Okay. Then we have our Kirtaniyas, and you and Amoga, and who else? Someone else will come. Balaram, yeah. Can lead one? All right, let's go on. So now, just a little background on this Ashtaka. This Ashtaka was not written as an Ashtaka. The whole background, we didn't even know who wrote this for years. It was just by some anonymous. But then someone did some research in Bhaktivinoda's writings, and he found that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was friends with the author. His name was Nilakanta Goswami. And he highly respected him. They both had respected each other. And so there were 100 verses he wrote. 100 verses with this Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. I don't know if it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur who picked out these 8 as the Ashtaka, but that's what's come down to us. I'm going to try to find out if there's a way of getting those other 92. They're all great. So that's what this is. And it was made famous to us in ISKCON by Krishna Das Babaji. He's Prabhupada's beloved godbrother. There's a wonderful pastime where Radhanath Swami, when he's becoming a devotee, he was living in Vrindavan, and then he went to Bombay. Prabhupada noticed him, brought him up on the stage, the whole thing. And so then he wasn't a part of ISKCON yet, but he was getting very attracted. So he was able to be present when Prabhupada welcomed Krishnadas Babaji in Vrindavan, when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, when he was on tour with us, And he just saw them. He couldn't understand a word. It was all Bengali, but they were laughing, and this Krishnadas Babaji was very great friends with the devotees. I had the great honor of meeting him one time. But he would, yeah. I'll tell you another time. But he was famous for his kirtan. He heard the kirtans live. They've been recorded also. And he would also stop and chant verses, right? And did he use did this Madhurashtaka sometime? Did you ever? That's what I understand, that he chanted it, and devotees wonder, what is that? And so anyway, it's come down, and so I took the Sanskrit, and here's my little version of it. So that you got the first verse. So the sweet things, the sweetest, sweetest. And now, what is it? How's it go? Abrahma stambhaparyantam sarvam mayamayam jagat satyam satyam punak satyam Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. From Brahma's realm atop the sky down to the lowly grass, illusion reigns in Maya Devi's treacherous morass. Morass is like a swamp. Treacherous morass. The truth, the only truth, the name of Shri Hari, the holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. He's the Guru, He's the Father, He's the friend most true, and she's the real mother who most kindly teaches you to always chant and hear the holy name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Now here's my favorite one. Remember that our final breath may come at any time, no matter if we're old and sick or in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Lord Shri Hari forever dwells wherever devotees whose hearts are fixed in Him and free of all impurities uplift their voices high and sing His name in ecstasy. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Alas, what sorrow, what great pain, the worst calamity for people to forget the holy name of Shri Hari. Although the name's a priceless gem, mere broken glass they see. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Just fill your ears, just fill them with the name of Shri Hari. Just chant the name with all sincerity. Just sing the name, just sing the holy name eternally. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. It makes this world appear like bits of straw upon the ground. Resplendently it reigns supreme, divinity and sound. It's filled with transcendental bliss and peerless purity. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. So that was 8 verses. So I added a 9th verse. Inspired to glorify the holy name of Shri Hari, Sri Nilakanta wrote this hymn in Sanskrit poetry. I pray that those who hear this lowly version made by me will chant the holy name of Shri Hari in ecstasy. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So it's getting kind of late. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.